Today I'm going to show you how to elevate your coloring with a gorgeous dimension. I'm working with a 3D embossing folder and alcohol markers to bring this raised design to life. Coloring on an embossed surface gives you instant depth, rich shadows, and tons of texture, and it's so much easier than it looks. All of my supplies I'm using today are linked down below in the video description and over on my blog. And be sure to stick around to the end of the video where I'm sharing some fun behind the scenes footage. The two main products that I'm going to be using today is the Fawn Surprise 3D embossing folder and the Sending Warm Hugs die set. Now, with the 3D embossing folders from Simon Says Stamp, they give incredible dimension. This one happens to come with a coordinating die, and this die is going to allow you to cut out the deer. Whenever you see a die that coordinates with an embossing folder, you want to make sure you do your die cutting first so you don't lose that incredible dimension. So I die cut my deer from some heavyweight cardstock, and then I'm going to emboss the design on a sheet of white cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So again, this is a heavyweight cardstock. I'm placing this inside of my embossing folder, and then I'm going to run this through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cut machine. I am not using a top plate. I'm just using this extra shim of cardstock, which is really the backing or the insert for the embossing folder, but you could use a couple pieces of extra cardstock to get that extra dimension in there. And check out how incredible that design looks. Now I'm going to do this to the deer. So I have my deer. I placed a little bit of repositionable tape on the back, and then I'm putting this on the side of the embossing folder that is indented. So they're going to fit in like a puzzle piece. You could also just place a little bit of thin tape to hold them down in place. I just didn't want them to move. Then close up your embossing folder, run it through your machine again. Now, if you're not sure on your settings, just be sure to either check the website or maybe you still have your manual from your die cutting machine to know how to do a 3D embossed folder. And now we have all of that incredible dimension on our deer. So always make sure you die cut them first. Now here is where the magic really comes in. I am using alcohol markers. This happens to be Olo markers, and I'm going to color over those embossed areas. I'm just going to show parts of the tree here because I really use the same technique for all of the trees. There's 3 of them on here. I start with the darkest color first, flick down with my marker, and then continue that with the other 2 colors. So it goes darkest to lightest. And I tend to flip my cardstock so it's upside down when I'm doing trees. That's just easiest for me. I shouldn't say you do. I make sure to stand my marker up on the very tip. So I'm kind of reducing how much my alcohol is spreading out, if that makes sense, because it can be easy to get outside of those embossed lines since there's really nothing there holding that alcohol in. So I like to hold my markers straight up to get that very fine point on the marker tip. Then I went ahead and did the other 2 trees. It gets a little tricky when you get to the smaller one, but it looks incredible. It's like a no-line coloring look. I'm going over the trees in the background where I went over it first with a light brown, and then I'm just adding a shadow on one side of it. So I didn't do a lot of blending there. I didn't want to risk, like I said, kind of getting that alcohol ink outside of those lines. Now, once I have that done, that's all I'm going to color with my alcohol markers, but you can see the incredible dimension that is giving our design. I'm taking Morning ink from Simon Says Stamp and a blending brush, and I'm going over the background real light. I'm not applying a lot of pressure here. I just wanted it to have a mist of color in the background. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my deer. So for the deer, I came in with latte ink, and then also a little bit of gingerbread. These inks are from Simon Says Stamp, and I wanted it to have just this real cute kind of fawn look. So by adding that little bit darker shade to the one side of it, really helped give it that cutesy look, I think. And then plus, where the raised edges are is catching some of the ink and making that dimension kind of stand out a little bit more. I did die cut out another set of those deer from heavyweight cardstock, and I'm going to layer them together with liquid glue. That's going to add stability, especially to those legs, because those legs are very delicate. I'm going to add some white splatter to the background because I wanted it to be a snowy scene, and I'm using this Positively Perfect white from Simon Says Stamp. It is already I guess I should say liquefied for you. So you don't need to add any additional water. You just pick it up right out of the container and splatter it onto your background with paintbrush. I'm not attaching my deer just yet, so I did have to splatter them separately. Off screen, I went ahead and die cut my sentiment. So I did Sending Warm Wishes. I love this font. It is a very, if I want to say like Hallmark Channel type of font, it just gave me a warm feeling. I thought it fit perfectly with the card. So I die cut it 3 times out of heavyweight cardstock and I layered it together with some liquid glue. I trimmed my background down to 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and I also trimmed a piece of craft foam just a little bit smaller than that size. I am going to adhere double-sided tape to both sides of that craft foam, and then I'm going to remove the backing on just the one side for now, take my panel and place it over the top. So this is going to give me dimension and also stability. I always find with embossing folder designs, it's a little tricky. Sometimes the corners want to come up. So I've been using this method lately and it seems to be helping really well. Then I went ahead and removed the backing on the other side of the craft foam and added that to an A2 size card front. I'm adding my deer to the front of the panel right over where they are on the front of my card. You can see where the blue ink kind of caught those raised edges, but I knew I'd be covering them up with these die cuts. And I only added the foam squares behind the body of the deer. I didn't worry about the legs because that gets pretty tiny, but I added that cardstock back there for that stability for that reason. Then I finished off with the sentiment at the top added by using liquid glue. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope this inspires you to try coloring over your embossed designs and explore all of the depth and texture this technique can create. All of the supplies I used are linked down below in the video description. And if you found today's tutorial helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. And here's a little bonus footage that I included of my process while I was creating that card. This is just a little behind the scenes, and I hope you enjoy.
I've been waiting all year for my Christmas gifts, making a list. Shiny, wrapped up in a bow, something just for me, baby, you're my wish. What my heart is longing for now, what I really want to see, what I really want underneath my Christmas tree. Getting caught up in the spirit, knowing that it's coming soon. Pretty red and green tinsel all around the room. Singing the old carols by candlelight, roasting chestnuts on the open fire. Every little thing with you just feels right, so right, 'cause Santa always comes at night. I've been waiting on this Sunday glow since last New Year's Eve, 'cause Santa always comes at night, Santa always comes at night. Moonbeams in late December always make me believe, 'cause Santa always comes at night, Santa always comes at night. Soon now you won't be the one I'm waiting on when Santa comes. Seeing visions of Tiffany boxes, blue and turtle doves, kissing on a gas lamp sidewalk underneath the starry sky, walking down the Royal Mile with your hand in mine, feeling like it's gonna happen, that my wish is coming true. I know that I'll be spending Valentine's with you, singing the old carols by candlelight, roasting chestnuts on the open fire. Every little thing with you just feels right,